We've done it, guys. The Rust Evangelism Strike Force has actually done it. Rust is now an official part of the Linux kernel. Rust is no longer experimental, it's now just as acceptable as C in the Linux kernel. So recently there was an invite-only Linux Kernel Maintainer Summit, and the top Linux maintainers, including Linus Torvalds, said that the consensus among assembled developers is that Rust in the Linux kernel is no longer experimental. It is now a core part of the kernel and is here to stay. So the experimental tag will be coming off. And probably most surprisingly, because there has been criticism of Rust from the Linux community in the past, is that at this summit, there was zero pushback. So what does this actually mean for Linux? What does it mean for Rust as a language? And what does it mean for us Rustaceans? First, we need to understand the history of Rust in the Linux kernel. Rust for Linux was a project that was started in 2022. And it's been considered an experiment for the last 3 years. And throughout these 3 years, there's definitely been some controversies about having Rust in the Linux kernel. Even the maintainers of the Rust for Linux project said since the beginning, it was clear that adding a second main language to the kernel would have both technical and management challenges. And they were proven right because Rust adoption in the Linux kernel has been contentious. There are two big reasons for this, and the first one is that existing C developers don't want to learn another language. You can see here in 2021, one of the maintainers said he didn't have time to stop everything and learn Rust anytime soon. The other major concern is maintenance. When you have two main languages in a codebase, maintenance will inevitably be harder. In 2024, one engineer pointed out, kernel maintainers tend to be very conservative. They know C backward and forward, but they don't know Rust. So they don't know how to review this or debug that because they don't understand the code. But despite these controversies, Rust adoption continued. And by April 2025, the Linux kernel contained about 34 million lines of C code and about 25,000 lines of Rust code. A small fraction, but again, Rust was just an experiment. Now that Rust is officially supported as a second main language in the kernel, I think this has two major benefits. First of all, Rust developers that are working on the Rust portions of the Linux kernel don't have to worry about their hard work being erased if the experiment failed. And secondly, I think this is going to encourage more developers to contribute to the Rust portions of the kernel. Now, obviously, C is not going anywhere. It's still a huge part of the Linux kernel, and the point here isn't to rewrite everything in Rust. But this news does open the door for a lot more Rust adoption in the kernel, and it's really great to see the Linux kernel modernizing with a memory-safe language. So what does this mean for Rust itself? Well, obviously, I think more developers are going to start learning it and using it, especially for systems programming now that it's been validated in Linux. I think this Reddit user said it pretty well. Rust did what C++ couldn't. The Linux kernel has tried to adopt memory-safe languages in the past. They ran an experiment with C++, but it didn't work out. So the fact that the Rust experiment succeeded is a pretty big testament to Rust. So what does this all mean to us as Rustaceans? This NewStack article ends with the following. For would-be kernel and systems programmers, Rust's new status in Linux hints at a career path that blends deep understanding of C with fluency in Rust safety guarantees. This combination may define the next generation of low-level development work. So yeah, I do think this will end up opening up some really good job opportunities for developers who want to use Rust for systems programming. But let me know what you guys think about this new development in Rust adoption, what it means for Rust, what it means for the Linux kernel in the comment section down below. And if you want to take advantage of these opportunities in Rust, click the link in the pinned comment below.